I'm really hot because I've got all my windows closed, but I want to talk to you a little bit about um, what's gone on in the last couple of days. So it's actually 3 days on. I wasn't ready to press send on my submissions. Some other things went on in those 3 days as well. I had some serious kind of like reflective moments. Okay, so I feel I feel good. I feel good that it's done. I feel really good that it's done, and that's like a year's worth of planning, more than a year's worth of planning really. And like I've come completely full circle and I've sent my submissions off, and I feel good and I feel steady within myself. But it's actually a couple days on, so it's about 3 days on since I first. Oh, no, no. So it's actually 3 days on since I talked to you guys about my getting ready to submit to stores, and a lot happened within that time, and it was a direct relation to why it took so long, why it took 3 more days for me to feel prepared to send that submission. And I want to talk about it because I feel like this is something like I know that my experience, how I'm feeling is singular, but I know that my experience is universal, and so I just want to talk about it for a little bit because I think it's important, and this is the whole reason why I'm doing this kind of like moving my channel towards leading with vulnerability, because I think that these kind of things don't get talked about, but it's something that we all as designers and people with creative businesses struggle with. So um, 3 days ago, I was ready to go and I was writing up my email, and I talked to you guys about the length of the email and feeling like I'm just going to do what I need to do. But it took, as I was getting ready to do that, I noticed that I just wasn't feeling right in me. You know, I had talked to you guys about leading with vulnerability and following your instincts, and it's your first time, as it's the first time that I'm sending off something, I'm just gonna go for it. But when I came off camera, I just didn't feel good. That I was saying it, but I wasn't completely feeling it, and I was I realized that because I wasn't quite connecting with what I was saying, it was slowing down my process in getting my emails ready to send out. And after sitting down and thinking, what's going on here? What's going on here? I realized that I was being a little bit disingenuous. Well, not a little bit. You can either be disingenuous or not, right? My camera likes to stop recording, so I'm just making sure. I realized that in my email, in my pitch, I was being disingenuous, and I wasn't really speaking my truth. And I was doing that old thing that I have been spending a lot of time, a good few years, trying to avoid doing. So I used to be, I'm saying used to be because it's a practice and I feel like I'm moving away from it really, really slowly. But I used to be someone who was paralyzed by indecision, and that was based on feeling like I wasn't enough and that I wasn't doing the right things to gain the attention that I needed. And I used to I used to need other people to validate my efforts for me to feel like I was doing well. And when I say validate my efforts, this would be friends, family, or bosses at work. I just felt like if I was doing good, someone would tell me I was doing good. I didn't understand that that needs to start with me. I need to say I'm enough, and then everything would follow through. And it was seeping into how I was running Urban Tiger and what I was making available at the time. And I was always trying to chop and change my offering, because I would see other people doing things and other people having a certain amount of success within the same kind of product category as I was in, and they would move moving forward. So I would think that I would need to kind of offer that, or I would need to kind of tell my story in a different way, and that was crushing. And then it was really crushing. And subsequently, when I sat down and thought about it and decided that I needed to kind of break away from that and rewire my mindset, I went on to do a challenge that lasted for, well, I called it the TUT mission, and it lasted for 100 days. And I won't go into that right now because it's a completely different story. But that was kind of my jump off point, trying to do that. Even though that really helped, it didn't quite, solve the problem. It treated the symptoms, but it didn't solve the problem. I've gone on and realized that this is very deep rooted in me, and just doing a mission or two or three is not going to solve it. It's really something that's deep rooted in who I am and goes way back to my childhood. And I've spent a lot of time, like my practice now is to really, really analyze who I am and my responses to things, and to catch myself as I'm about to say things, and then to decide whether or not I need to make that response or if I need to take a different path. It's a whole thing. But by doing that, it means that I stay true to who I am, and that I always express myself as Shantell, and that in that action I am validating myself and I am saying I am enough. So in those emails, it wasn't quite coming through. I was saying things that weren't quite true because I wasn't sure how that particular company would take it, or see how they could be serving all their customers with what I do. So my brand is the Urban Tiger, and I design Caribbean inspired jewelry, and my jewelry tells a story of Barbados, Caribbean history, culture, heritage and tribes. It's predicated upon that, and that's done because as a West Indian woman, in fashion, in British fashion, in fashion in general and in media, my culture is invisible, and that has always upset me and angered me and frustrated me. And I turned my business around in 2012 to focus on making products that helped women like myself feel empowered. Now, I'm applying, it's got very loud outside, hold on. Okay. I'm applying to stores, hold on, make sure. Yeah. He's doing a 3.10 right in the middle of my rant. Alright, he's made it. Keep going. So so my jewelry, for me as the designer, is for West Indian women, right? I call them for island girls. Island girls know who they are. They're for island girls. And a couple of the stores that I am reaching out to are not stores that are about black culture or about African culture or about Caribbean culture. Any cultures. They're not culturally driven. So I wasn't sure, as a wholesaler, as a buyer or as a store. Cuts out. Just cuts out. So, my mission, my driving force behind my brand is, or the only thing I care about when I design, is that West Indian women feel empowered and connected with their identity. That's the very small niche that I am trying to serve. But when I was doing my email pitch, I didn't know how to talk about that, because I was like, well, you, how is that going to be received? Like, will they stock you? Will they choose you? And so I was doing things to try and make it seem like, oh, I'm trying to serve this community, truth, and I want everyone to enjoy it. Not so truth. I'm not, I don't care about everybody else enjoying it. However, my jewelry can be enjoyed by everybody. even if you don't understand where my driving force is from. They're beautiful pieces. They go with a lot of different things. You know what I mean? They're easily matched to different outfits. It will work. But for me, what drives my business is this small niche that I am trying to serve. Do you see what I mean? Serve small, go big while going small. Do you know what I mean? But my email just didn't do that. I was trying to be too like everybody, when really I don't. And I think it's because, like I said, I've got this fight in me. It's something that really annoys me, that my culture is not visible, or it's invisible when it comes to fashion. Like, it's just not there. So I was very confused. I didn't know what to do. So I spoke to my consultant, who is my sister, and I said to her, you know, I'm right. I read her the email first to make sure it was okay, and she said, yeah, it sounds okay. And I said to her, but you know, I'm feeling a little disingenuous. I don't really care about everybody. I'm not doing this for everybody, but it can be used by everybody, but that's not my driving force. And I said to her, you know, it's not sitting well for me. I love the rest of the emails, but it's not sitting well. And she said, yeah, you don't care. So why are you putting it in? And I'm like, well, because, and she said, I don't think that you need to fight the good fight. I think that you need to just be. You're just a designer who is making jewelry and fashion that's inspired by the Caribbean. And I said, yes, I am. That's what I'm doing. I'm Shantell Bancroft, fashion designer of the Urban Tiger, designing and making Caribbean-inspired jewelry and fashion. And that's it. There's no need to fight the good fight. Not on your email pitch. And so, as soon as I changed that up, and I took out some little pieces, like one particular email pitch I had, where I was talking a little bit about how I found the store, and I felt like, not that I was running on, but I felt like I was losing the importance of the pitch, which was, this is what I do. And so I just scaled that down a little bit, highlighted that, and then I immediately felt better. I changed my line sheets to suit that, because there's a little bit of information in my line sheets where I was fighting the good fight, and I just took it out and said, this is what I do. And it just made me feel so much better to just talk about me and what I do being enough. And I think I have been so geared towards serving a certain community that I think sometimes what gets lost within me is that that I'm just touched by the subjects that I'm inspired by. I'm touched by the Caribbean, I'm touched by the culture, I'm touched by Barbados, you know. I'm touched by nature, I'm touched by wildlife, I'm touched by play and experimentation. And, you know, at the core of everything I do, I'm a girl who's putting everything she's observed about the world and everything she's discovering about who she is into this jewelry. And I just make jewelry and women's wear at the center of it. That's it. I'm just a jewelry designer, and I am enough. Without the fight, I am enough. And I am enough needs to be on the email pictures. It's so important. I feel like it's so important to just remember that the person that goes out and buys the supplies, and the person that sits down for 2 or 3 hours and works on a pattern, the person that, you know, spends time working out a jewelry design, the person that haggles with the supplier for the lining for their handbag or for their garment, that person at the end of the day is you. And before the niche that you're trying to serve, it's you and it's your career. And there's these two things going on. There's your career, just you, and there's who you're serving. Everything you make inevitably serves someone else. It will serve a cause, it will ease a pain, it will grow a desire. Whoever your audience is, that's who you're trying to serve. But before those individuals, you are also trying to serve you. You're serving you first. This is something that you feel you need to do. This is where all your creative juices line up and make and just put you into a world where you are just limitless and weightless and aligned with positivity and love. This, when you work on your shit, that's your time. That's you at your best. You lose all sense of time. You probably don't eat, because I know, like me, I don't eat when I'm in the midst of my design. It's you first. You're serving you and your needs first, and that's something to remember. And you are enough. Serving your needs are enough, first and foremost. When you market your goods, that's when you are serving a small niche, a particular type of individual. But first and foremost, you're the person that's fighting for your creations to get out there. It starts with you. And to remember that. And I'm going to remember that. And I think me fighting the good fight is another part of me, another bit of that me coming out, that's really saying what you do is not enough. People will only pay you attention if you have something stronger to say. From doing that, from changing my view, from cleaning up my perspective, I've also changed my Instagram handle. Not my Instagram handle, sorry. I've also changed the bio on my Instagram, and that felt good too. And also, within that 3 days, I I started another Instagram account, which is private at the moment, but I decided that Urban Tiger needs to feel like a shop. I didn't really feel like my feed felt like a shop. I think it looked like a girl who was just making odds, bits and bends, and I wanted it to be more like a shop, because online, when I'm marketing, it's about her and what she needs it to be. Because at the end of the day, I'm fighting a good fight, right? I am fighting a good fight by serving my peeps, but they still need to feel that when they hold my things, they feel beautiful. So I wanted my feed to reflect that a little bit more. So yeah, that's me. That's done. After pressing send, it feels good. It's really hard to do all this in front of the camera because you're so aware that, you know, this has to be not entertaining, but it has to be tell a story, and I mean, somewhat entertaining in a sense, right? Because it has to kind of not be boring. But it's hard to kind of go into that mindset fully of who you are when you're working, when you know that it's being recorded. So I just needed those couple of days to just get everything on point, and a lot of the stuff that I had done, that I was working on, I had already started, and I just cleaned it up over the 3 days and found different information and dropped it all in Dropbox, and so it's done. I feel really good. I feel like the end of something, you know, like I've reached the end of something. It's not really the end, because I've got to follow up in a few weeks with an email, but yeah, I'm going to follow up in a few weeks to email the 2 stores that I sent the email to, because it's just what you do, you have to do follow-ups. But I feel like it's done, you know, like I had an idea, I took that idea and executed a collection, photographed it, sent my promo codes out, did my pitch. It's just a year's worth of work all done. So I feel really good. I feel happy. I feel like this is the true start of my weekend. I don't know whether or not I'm going to have to concentrate on anything else today. And it feels good. It doesn't feel like I've got to, I really don't feel like I'm going to lean on this. If it doesn't work out and stockists don't take me this year, or stock Urban Tiger goods, then it's cool. I've got other things going on. This is just one thing. That's another thing that came out of this 3 days. I just really wanted to just make all the time, and it was hard for me to concentrate on doing this because I just wanted to make. And so I'm like, I need to make a few changes to my to things that I do during the week, and make a few alterations in terms of how I'm going to do business in the future. So I want you to leave comments in the box below. I hope this video made sense. I hope this video has helped someone out there, and I really want to start a discussion around it. If you are in the same position as myself and you are preparing all your documents or your line sheets to get ready to submit to stores, leave a comment in the box below. Tell me how you're feeling about it. If you're in the beginning stages, let us know what tools you've used, if you use any applications to help you put together your line sheets or put together your packs, how that's made you feel. Are you feeling nervous, or are you kind of like, no, I'm steady? If you are like myself and you're pressing send on your submissions, how have you been feeling? Did you have the same feelings as me, where you're a bit like, oh my god? Leave it in the comment box below. And yeah, let's start a discussion around just feeling genuine and feeling enough. Oh, if you're writing up your email pictures and you find that you're putting extra kind of like flowery, wait, let me make sure, man, I'm about to just do it. If you're putting together your pictures and you find yourself putting in extra information that's a little bit kind of flowery and a little bit like, oh, no, because you think that you need to do it in order to entice the buyer, let us know why. And that if you've been doing that, let us know in the comments below. Definitely a thing that I think we all go through at some point, that we don't feel like what we have is enough, so we have to kind of bump it up.